Good people, what is going on? Another episode of the All Go Podcast. I'm your host, Desmond. Thank you for tuning in. I had some funny comments the last couple days. Someone had commented, and forgive me because I didn't remember the username, but said he thinks that I sound like Barack Obama, which I have never gotten that before, but I appreciate it, and I responded to his comment and everything, and I try to respond to all the comments, but I thought that was funny. Anyway, the topic today is the comparison of the Nick Saban Alabama teams and the Philadelphia Eagles. And it's just ironic. I put the shirt on before I realized what I was going to do topic-wise. I just have like a notes section that I just throw in a whole bunch of different topics of what I want to talk about, and I looked at that right before I went out for my walk. I'm like, oh, this is ironic. And also ironic that Jalen Hurts is part of the Nick Saban dynasty. But there's been a lot of talk, a lot of discourse about Jalen Hurts. Is he a top 5 quarterback? Is he not? Cam Newton had some comments and just mentioned. And here's what I will say about Cam Newton and his comments. I saw a video earlier this week where, and I think it was Super Bowl week, where, a lot of all of the media is there during the Super Bowl, and just different personalities show up, different, former players, things like that, show up and do different clips and media sessions with different people. And Warren Sapp had sat down with Cam, and Cam had asked who was the quarterback that they were talking about? Was it Jalen Hurts? They were talking about a quarterback, and Cam basically asked Warren Sapp if he was a game manager. And Warren Sapp jumped in and was like, well, look, I played with a guy, Brad Johnson, and Cam said he was a game manager. But Cam was not saying game manager is a bad thing. What Cam said was Tom Brady was actually the greatest game manager that we've ever seen. He just played the game that was needed. So when a lot of people say it, they are not saying that as a positive thing. They're in general saying it as a negative. But Cam was saying it as it's not a diss. It's not a negative thing. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But nonetheless, Cam had some comments about Jalen Hurts, and people are just all over the board and just losing their minds. I did my top 5 list. I had Jalen in my top 5 because at the end of the day, for me, this is just my list. Winning is part of that. I get it. Winning is a team sport, but you're the guy who has the ball all of the time. You touch it every single play. And what you do has such a large impact on team success that you've got to be really, really good. But nonetheless, where I will say that I do think, like I said, he's in my top 5. I made my list. Feel free to go check that out if you'd like on the channel. But the comparison is, when Nick Saban first started winning at Alabama, which it was, pretty darn soon after he got hired. I think 2007 was his first season. And then from there, 2009, I believe, was their first national championship. But it was, number one, a different time in football. But number two, their teams were loaded outside of the quarterback position that you didn't need your quarterback to do everything, right? You see, Joe Burrow may be a bad example, but because he was flinging the ball all around the field, but they were also loaded all around Joe Burrow, but he was just amazing. And I feel like, you had Greg McElroy, I believe, was the first national championship winning quarterback that Nick Saban had. And then it was A.J. McCarron for a pretty long stretch. What do you have? Blake Sims in there, Jake Coker. So have had some different quarterbacks, and obviously Jalen Hurts as well. But and really, Jalen was probably the beginning of having a more dynamic quarterback consistently. Because I actually think Blake Sims was pretty dynamic. I know they didn't, win it all. They lost in the first round to Ohio State in the first football playoff. But you went from, Jalen Hurts and then to Tua. Who the heck was after Tua? I'm losing my mind and drawing a blank now. But it's one of those things where I look at Philadelphia Eagles and them being pretty similar. I mean, they've got a running back who rushed for almost 2,000 yards. They've got two of the most highly paid wide receivers in the NFL. Both of them super productive, really athletic, just issues. Two number one receivers. The defense is loaded. D-line's loaded. The, defensive backfield loaded. You got Quinyon Mitchell, sorry, I forgot his name last time. Cooper DeJean. I mean, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis. I mean, the list goes on and on for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I just think it's one of those situations that Jalen Hurts does what he's asked to do at the highest level. There's been a lot of talk, too, about Justin Herbert and somehow how great of a quarterback he is. And to me, a lot of it is, here's how I look at quarterback play in the NFL specifically. Essentially, most of your throws, most of them are just one, it's how the OC or the head coach drew up the play, right? You take what the defense gives you. We'll take the arrow route versus the 15-yard out if we're running like a flood concept. All right, they back out. Just take the arrow route. Just take the 2-3 yard clip, so on and so forth. There's going to be about a handful of plays. About, I would say, especially in like a nip and tuck game, like going back and forth. There's about 5 plays where you got to go be a big boy. Now, that most of the time it's going to be throwing the ball. 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11. Now, if you got some wheels, like Jalen does, right, some of those you may convert with your legs. But in general, it's about 5 big boy plays that we're going to need you to go out and make. The OC can't drop everything for you. We need about 5 big boy plays. Justin Herbert, when it comes to those 5 big boy plays, especially in the playoffs, he doesn't make them. He does not make them. You can't blow a 27-0 lead at halftime. You just cannot do it. Heck, the Lions did it, 17-point lead at the half. Still ticked off about that. But, right, and that was a big issue. You blew a 27-0 lead at half. You were about 58% completion percentage in that game. You did throw 1 touchdown, but you weren't great. And the team needed you to be great. In the playoff game, needed about 5 big boy plays. Well, in those 5 big boy plays, you threw 4 interceptions. And we could say, well, it went off the receiver's hands. Throw a better ball. This is the NFL. When we're talking about potential top 5 guy, you be better. That's what comes with it, right? When 2 years ago, Patrick Mahomes threw a ball to Kadarius Toney in the season opener of the 2022 season, I think. Right? Toney tips it up. Brian Branch intercepts it, takes it to the house. It's basically the difference in the game. The Lions win 21-20, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Patrick Mahomes says, I gotta do better. I gotta make more plays. I gotta take care of business. We've got to execute at a higher level. And he's correct. Now, I think he was taking the blame because Kadarius Toney, popping the ball up like, dude, what are we doing? But you needed 5 big boy plays. You turned the ball over 4 times. It cannot happen. It can't happen. If you're a top 5 guy, it can't happen. If you're number 6, if you're a top 6 quarterback, that can't happen. And somehow in the playoff games where we need you the most, you turn it over. So, I think there's a lot of parallels with those teams that with Nick Saban and Alabama, it was literally 5-star after 5-star after 5-star that was anywhere. I mean, running backs, they were, TJ Yeldon, Lacey, Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry. I mean, they had Derrick Henry sitting on the bench as a true freshman. He played in the bowl game and had 100 yards receiving and 100 yards rushing, which is nuts. And Derrick Henry rushed for like 6,000 yards, like his in high school. I mean, it was silly, but just loaded at everywhere. Wide receiver, you go Jerry Jeudy, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Kevin Norwood. I mean, just nonstop. Devontae Smith, another Alabama guy. But they were just loaded, and I think that's where Philly is. Howie Roseman, once again, I'll say it, has done a terrific job of building that roster. And you got guys all over the dang place. So it's at the point where it's like, Jalen, we just don't mess it up, and we'll be just fine. So let me know your thoughts on that. Greatly appreciate it. That is it for me. Peace.